In today's class, we will learn about vertical motion in one dimension, right. So, a particle which is freely falling under the action of gravity. So, you know that any object which is released or anything which is thrown vertically upwards, so will experience the force due to gravity. So, if we have earth here and if this is a body of mass m, so we know that it experiences a force in the downward direction, right. Correct. So, if this point here represents the center of earth, and let us consider that from the center of earth, if this mass m is at a distance of some r. So, we know that according to universal law of gravitation, that force acting between this mass and the earth, which is having a mass of capital M, let us assume. So, that force will be given by G m m by r square. Correct. So, you would have studied this in your earlier classes. So, this would be the force which this mass experiences. Now, because of this force, because gravity is attractive in nature, we can say that this mass experiences a force towards the center of earth, correct. So, anything which is moving under the influence of gravity will experience a force towards the center of earth, directed towards the center of earth. Now, one important thing which we need to do here, or which we need to consider here, is that all the analysis which we are going to do from now onwards, whether it is a particle which is thrown vertically up from ground, or whether it is, let us say, we have a tower and from the tower a particle is thrown vertically up or vertically down. So, in all these cases, we will be dealing with bodies which are moving to a height which is very small when compared with the radius of earth. Clear? So, if this represents the radius of earth, I think all of you would have had this idea that it is roughly equal to 6400 kilometers, and the distances which we would be dealing with are generally in meters, right. So, where is 6400 kilometers and where is, let us say, 10 meters or 100 meters. So, we will be dealing with heights which are very small when compared with the radius of earth. So, what I can do is we can assume that this r is very small, correct students. So, or this r is very close to the radius of earth, which means this is not changing, almost constant. I hope this is clear, because we will be throwing the particles with velocities which are not very much. We will be throwing it with, let us say, some 50 meter per second or 100 meter per second. So, which might take the body to, let us say, some 100 meters or 200 meters, and when the body moves up to a height of 100 meters or 200 meters, when compared with 6400 kilometers, it has moved a very small distance, and for that small difference, this r can be assumed to be constant, which means the force which is acting on that particle is not changing much. So, which basically means that we can assume that the particle undergoes uniform acceleration. Is that clear, students? So, even if you consider a particle which is thrown vertically up, if it goes up to some height and then returns back, it comes to rest at the highest point, you know that it is turning back at that position. You all know the condition for turning back, right? So, throughout this upward motion, the velocity is positive. If I consider the upward direction as positive, so I can say that throughout this motion where the particle is moving up, the velocity is positive. At the highest point, the particle comes to rest momentarily, right, and then it changes its direction and moves downwards. So, at the highest point, we can say that the velocity of the particle will be equal to 0, and during this part of the motion, it will once again be negative. Clear? While going like this, its velocity is positive, here it becomes 0. So, that is why it is turning back, and then its velocity is negative. So, this is the idea. So, as I was saying, so throughout this motion, because this height is very small when compared with radius of earth, we will be assuming that the acceleration of the particle throughout this motion is equal to g. Clear? Which is constant, and it will always be in the downward direction. Please keep this in mind, irrespective of whether the particle is going up. So, you can say here that the particle is going up here the particle is at rest, you take any position of the particle, whether while going up like this or while coming down in this manner, right? So in all these 5 positions which I have marked here, this position, this position, this or this, in all these cases the particle is always experiencing a force in the vertically downward direction. Do you agree with that, right? Earth is always pulling the body towards it. So whether it is here, 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 here or here, it will always experience an acceleration of g in the downward direction. So g will always be in the downward direction. Even at the highest point, its velocity will be 0, but its acceleration will be g in the downward direction. And even here it will have an acceleration of g, and even here it will have an acceleration of g. And you can assume that the magnitude of that g is also constant. And you might have had an idea that the value of that g is approximately equal to 9.8 meter per second square, some 9.81 you can say. And for our calculations, for doing simple calculations, we will be approximating it to 10 meter per second square. Clear, students? So that is the basic idea, right? And as I told you earlier, so whenever we need to write any kinematics equations for any situation, we need to have a reference frame, right? I already defined what a reference frame means. So reference frame is basically a set of coordinate axes which we consider, with respect to which we measure the positions and motion of the particle. So even in this case, what I will do is, I will assume my coordinate axis to be like this. I will consider this as my x axis, this as my y axis, positive y axis, and this as origin. Clear? Let us just consider a scenario like this, and let us say there is an object which is thrown from this position vertically upwards. So if it is thrown like this with a velocity of u, so you know that this particle moves vertically up, reaches some position and then returns back. And as I told you earlier, so as you can see here, that as the particle is moving up throughout the motion, whether it is going up or at the highest point or going downwards, we can consider that acceleration is always in the downward direction. So if I need to substitute the value of acceleration anywhere, in such a case I need to substitute it as minus g. And you understand why I am taking minus g, right? Because this direction I am considering as positive, but acceleration will be g in the downward direction. So it is in the negative y direction. You understand that, right? I have considered this as positive, but acceleration is in this direction. So in each and every case which you are going to substitute with this coordinate axis, clear, you should always consider the acceleration as negative. So any quantity, velocity, displacement, acceleration, anything which is in this direction is positive and in this direction is negative. I will explain you what I mean. So we'll derive some parameters now regarding a particle thrown vertically upwards, a particle projected vertically upwards, with a speed u. Clear? So this is the case which we are going to simplify now. So this particle which is thrown up, so we are going to find some parameters related to this particular object. So the first one we'll be finding out is called time of ascent. The next one is time of descent, right? Then we'll be finding out maximum height. So let's calculate these parameters one by one. Clear? So let's see that. And for all those calculations, I'll be considering this as my coordinate axis. Clear? Upward direction as positive and downward direction as negative. So let's see. So students, let's calculate these parameters. So here you can see that the particle is projected vertically up with a speed u, and upward direction means positive. When you are substituting the value of velocity, take it as plus u, right? So now this particle moves vertically upwards, reaches this highest point and then returns back. and then it strikes ground once again. So, the total duration for which it is in air is what we call as time of flight. So, that is called time of flight. Flight basically means the time for which it is in air, clear. So, flight means you know that, right. So, moving in air is called flight. So, the time for which it is present in air is time of flight. Now, the time it takes to reach the highest point from the point of projection, so that is what we call as time of ascent. So, we can define it like this: time taken by the body, to reach the maximum height, body to reach maximum height, right. And how do we write the condition for that? How do we, for example, if the particle reaches maximum height and if it is projected here at t is equal to 0, and let us say if it reaches here at some time t. So, we need to find the time t when it reaches the maximum height, correct students? So, how do I calculate that? So, I know the initial velocity of projection, right, and I know that throughout the motion, throughout the duration for which it is going up, it is always experiencing an acceleration in the downward direction, which means it is decelerating. So, it slows down, clear. So, its speed will be continuously reducing as it goes up. You know this, right? Whenever velocity and acceleration are opposite to each other, speed decreases. So, in this case, as the body goes up, its speed slowly decreases and it eventually reaches the highest position where the velocity becomes 0. So, the significance or the characteristic of this highest position is that is the point where velocity becomes 0. So, that is the concept that I will be using here. So, I will be using v is equal to u plus at. So, v is equal to u plus, in place of a I can substitute minus g. So, this particle will have an acceleration of g downwards, correct. So, minus g into t, or Ta, let me call it as time of ascent. Now, in the place of v I should substitute 0, right. So, this v will become 0, that is the time which we need to find out. So, that is it. So, simplifying this will give you the value of Ta as u by g. So, u by g is what we call as time of ascent. So, if the particle is thrown from this position with a speed u, it reaches the highest position at time t is equal to u by g. Clear students, right? Now, the next step is to find out time of descent. Descent means you understand that, right? Time for which the particle is coming down. So, that is what we call as time of descent. So, the duration for which the particle moves downwards. So, you can call that as time of descent, clear. So, we need to find out, we know that the velocity here is 0, right. We know the velocity here is 0. We do not know what the velocity here is, we do not know what the height is, we do not know what the time is. So, here there are many unknowns for this descent. So, when I talk about this descent, as the particle starts from here and reaches this position, there are many unknowns, right. So, I do not know the time in this motion, I do not know the final velocity, I just know the acceleration as minus g, right, and initial velocity as 0, correct. So, you know that every kinematics equation will have 4 terms, right. If you take s is equal to ut plus half at square, or v square minus u square is equal to 2as, every kinematics equation has 4 terms. You need to know 3 and you can find the the fourth, correct students. So, here in this part of the motion I am not aware of 3, I only know 2, which is initial velocity and acceleration. So, what I will do is I will find out the final velocity. So, by the time the particle reaches this position, how much will be the final velocity, clear students. So, for doing that, please observe what I am going to use. So, I will consider this point of projection as my initial position, clear. So, this corresponds to my initial position, and this, when it is returning back to earth, I will consider this as my final position, and for this complete motion I will apply v square minus u square is equal to 2as. Please observe what is going to happen. So, the particle has started from here, right, it has travelled vertically upwards, then changed its direction and returned back to the same position once again, correct. See, I have just drawn it adjacent to that, so that you can see upward and downward separately, otherwise it is just a single straight line, you understand that, right. So, this particle, once it is thrown up, it reaches the same point once again. If it is reaching the same point once again, what is the value of s I should substitute here, students? Is it this length plus this length? What is s in this equation? Is it distance covered or displacement? It is displacement. So, as the particle goes up and returns back to that position, displacement is 0. So, which means I can write v square, v final square minus u square is equal to 0, correct. So, which means I will be getting v final is equal to u, or I will be getting plus or minus u here. So, if you simplify that, if you take v final square is equal to u square, the solution for that would be plus or minus u, and you can easily understand that in this case I should consider it as minus u, which means it is going vertically downwards. Clear, students? So, that is the basic idea. So, by the time the particle reaches here, we can say that its velocity will once again be u in the downward direction. So, if it is projected with a velocity of u, it returns to the same position once again with a velocity of u, but in the opposite direction. So, this is a very important result. So, not just from ground to ground, you can apply this anywhere, even at this level also. Clear? What I am trying to say is, if a particle, let us say, if it is thrown from here, while going up, let us say it is crossing this point with a velocity of some u dash, correct. So, which means, can I consider that this is nothing but another projectile which is thrown vertically upwards with u dash? You can directly say that it goes to the highest position, turns back and returns, and by the time it reaches that level once again, what will be the velocity that it will have? It will have the same u dash, but in the opposite direction. So, this time it will have u dash in this direction, you understand that. So, you can consider this as another mini projectile, mini particle which is thrown upwards. So, from here it is thrown with u, so it returns to the same level with u, but opposite direction. In the same manner, if it is thrown from this level with u dash, then it will reach the same level with u dash. You can understand it like that. Clear? Okay, we will come back to this once again, we will discuss about this in detail once again, but here we know that by the time the particle reaches this ground once again, its final velocity is minus u. So, now I will find out the time of descent. So, from this time to this time, so I need to find out that time interval, correct. So, here we know that the velocity is 0. So, I will be using v is equal to u plus at here. So, I will apply v is equal to u plus at for downward motion, Clear, students? So, final velocity is what? The particle has a final velocity of minus u, correct, is equal to, throughout this motion gravity is always in the downward direction. So, I can substitute, okay, initial velocity is 0, and in place of a I can substitute minus g into time of descent. I will call it as Td. So, from here to here I will consider it as Td. So, what do we get? Minus and minus gets cancelled out, and simplifying this will give me the value of time of descent as u by g once again. Clear, students? So, which means the particle takes a time of u by g to move vertically upwards, reach the highest position, and then another u by g to move vertically downwards and reach the initial position. So, u by g up and u by g down, which will automatically mean that the value of time of flight will be equal to how much? U by g for upward motion plus u by g for downward motion. Totally it will be equal to 2u by g. So, a very important result, that is, so time of flight of a particle thrown vertically up with speed u will be 2u by g. So, in fact, you can calculate this time of flight by writing the kinematics equations for the complete motion. You can write that also. If you want, I will show that to you as well. So, I will write that down separately. So, let us derive this in a different manner also. So, time of flight, you know that the particle starts from here, goes up and returns back, right. So, throughout this motion, I will write the equation now for complete motion, So, you know that for the complete motion, the time taken is t, right. So, which equation will I be using here? Think properly. I need to find time, right. I know the initial velocity and I know the displacement also. In this complete time, the particle started from this position and returned back to the same position, which means can I define time of flight as the time taken by the particle to have a displacement of 0. If it is returning back, it will automatically mean that displacement of the particle will become 0. That is the idea. So, when I substitute, I will substitute the value of s as 0 here. You understood why 0, right? Because time of flight means that, right? It is going up and returning back to the same position. So, same position means displacement is 0. So, u is positive. So, u into, I will substitute time of flight as capital T, right, plus half into a value is minus g into capital T square. That is it. So, t and t gets cancelled, and even in this way also, if you calculate the value of t, you will get 2u by g. Clear, students? So, you can calculate that also, that way also. So, time of flight is the time taken by the particle to reach the same initial position once again, correct. So, in this case, it should reach the initial position. So, I have made the displacement 0. So, that will also give me time of flight. Okay. So, the next is maximum height. So, you can calculate maximum height in different ways. You have all the information required here. The particle is projected with u, the final velocity is 0, right. You need to find the displacement. Can I say that the displacement of the particle from the projection to the maximum height will be the magnitude of maximum height, correct. So, what I will do is from equation I will write for ascent, equation for ascent, which means while the particle is going up. So, when the particle is going up, which equation can I use? I can use v square minus u square equal to 2as, or I also know the time it takes for the particle to travel from here to here. I can also use s is equal to ut plus half at square, clear. I will use v square minus u square equal to 2as. I want you to derive the same result by using s is equal to ut plus half at square. So, please do that, clear, students. I will use v square minus u square is equal to 2as. So, as the particle goes from here to here vertically upwards, at the highest point the velocity will be 0, right. So, 0 square minus initial velocity is u is equal to 2 into a value is minus g into s, correct. So, minus and minus gets cancelled and I will get s is equal to, or let us call this as h for maximum height. So, capital H will be equal to u square by 2g. So, that will be the value of maximum height to which the particle reaches. So, it is directly proportional to the square of speed of projection in the vertical direction. Clear, students? So, derive the same result by using s is equal to ut plus half at square as well, right. So, now we will see some more applications of this vertical motion. Students, let us see this question now. So, here they have given that a particle is projected vertically upwards with an initial velocity of 30 meter per second, right. So, this is the initial velocity, and they are asking us to find out the displacement and the distance covered in 5 seconds. So, we can say that this particle will move vertically up and then somewhere it turns back and tries to move vertically downwards. So, they are asking us to find out displacement and distance covered in 5 seconds. So, let me first write the equations, correct. So, first see whether in this 5 seconds the particle has completely returned to ground or still it is in air. So, for that what I can do, I can check the time of flight first. So, time of flight, the expression for that would be 2u by g. 2 times u is 30. So, 30 by g, which is 10. So, I get 6 seconds, correct. So, which means you all know that if time of flight is 6 seconds, time of ascent will be 3 and time of descent will be 3, which means here this is t is equal to 0, which means it is at highest position at 3 seconds and it has not yet reached ground, right, because it reaches ground in 6 seconds, but we are only going to understand till 5 seconds. So, by 5 seconds let us consider that the particle is somewhere over here. So, t is equal to 5 seconds, it will be somewhere over here and it will be moving vertically downwards. So, this much is clear for us, right. So, that is the idea. Now, we need to find out the displacement in 5 seconds. So, this is pretty simple, we can directly use the formula for displacement. So, displacement is always easier to calculate, right. So, we know the initial velocity, we know the time, we know the acceleration of the particle as well. So, let us substitute u is 30, let me write it as plus 30 into t, t is 5 seconds, correct students, plus half into acceleration. Acceleration is always negative. So, minus 10 into t square is 5 square. So, simplifying this will give me 150 minus 5 square 5 square into 5, which is 125, right. So, minus 125. So, solving this will give me the value as 25 meters and you have a positive value here. What does that mean? From the starting point, the particle is at a distance of 25 meters in the positive direction. See, by convention we assumed upward as positive, right. So, upward is what we have taken as positive. So, what does this mean is that the particle is above the initial position by 25 meters. So, we can say that this position, this level is 25 meters from ground, from the point of projection. Okay. So, displacement is clear. So, we know that this length which I have drawn here will be the displacement, but they are also asking us to find out the distance, and you know that whenever we need to find distance, you know that we will have to break down the motion, we will have to first find the duration, the distance it covered during the upward motion, which is the ascent, and then we will have to separately find during the descent, and then we have to add them, correct. So, for finding the distance covered, you know that by looking at the diagram we can easily say that distance is nothing but this length plus this length, correct, and we know this length. Let me write the expression for distance. So, distance is equal to, so we know this length is nothing but the maximum height of the particle, which is u square by 2g, plus we need to find this length. So, you can find this length easily. How can you find this length? We know the total length is u square by 2g and we know this length is 25. So, which means you can easily find the remaining length, right. So, the remaining length will be u square by 2g plus 25, sorry, minus 25. You understand that, right. This whole length will be u square by 2g, out of which this length will be 25. So, if I subtract that from the total height, I will get the remaining height. Is that clear? So, this is the expression which we would be getting, right. You can substitute the values. So, that would be 2. So, you will get u square by g minus 25. U is 30. So, 30 square is 900 by g, which is 10 minus 25. 90 minus 25 is 65 meters. Clear, students? So, 65 meters will be the distance covered. If you want, you can find u square by 2g also. What is the value of u square by 2g? I will get I guess 45, right. So, which means this whole length is 45. So, the maximum height to which the particle reaches is 45. So, it travels 45 upwards and then in the next 2 seconds it travels a distance of 20 meters. So, you can understand this 65 as 40 plus 25, this 40 is during ascent and this 25 is during descent. Clear, students? So, you can understand it that way. So, try to picture out what they are asking us, for what duration they are asking us to analyze. Clear? So, the motion of the particle should be very clear in our minds. We will have to have a visual of what is happening to the particle, then we can easily write the equations, right. And like you can see that they are also asking us to find out the velocity of the particle after 5 seconds, which means at this position we need to find the velocity, and you can clearly say that the velocity should be negative, right. Let us see whether we get that or not. So, we need velocity at 5 seconds. So, the general expression is u plus at. So, let me substitute the values. U is 30 plus 30, a is minus 10, t is 5, correct, that is it. So, 30 minus 50, which is minus 20 meter per second. So, which means the particle at this instant is going vertically down with a velocity of 20 meter per second. Is that clear, students? Okay, students, so let us see this question now. So, we have a building of height 60 meters. So, this is the building, 60 meters is the height of that, and from the top of that a particle is thrown vertically upwards with a speed of 20 meter per second. So, we can say that the particle moves vertically up, changes its direction and starts falling down, and it eventually falls, it reaches earth, clear. So, we need to find the time taken to reach the ground, clear. So, the time taken for this complete motion is what we have to find first. Then we need to find the speed with which it reaches ground. So, find the speed with which it reaches ground. So, that is what we need to find the next, and finally, we need to find out the speed when it is crossing the midpoint. So, midpoint would be somewhere over here. So, when it is crossing this position, what would be its speed? When it reaches this position, what would be its speed? So, these are the questions which we need to calculate. Okay. So, now let us see the first one. So, we need to find the time taken by the particle to reach this position. So, we know that this is the initial position and this is the final position, correct, students. Now, this is one question where or one case or one model of question where you will be having a different way of thinking. So, you would think that because the particle is going up and changing its direction and returning back to reach this position, I will first have to find out the time it takes to travel from here to here. I need to find this height, and then I once again have to consider the particle traveling from here to here and find that time and add the two times. But that much is not required, that much analysis is not required, because think once again, see, when I write this equation, S is equal to ut plus half at square. Now, you all know that in this equation S represents what? It represents displacement, right. So, S in this equation is the displacement. So, we know the initial position, we know the final position to which the particle has to reach, correct, students, and as long as you are substituting the initial conditions properly, the equation will take care of the time. You do not have to worry about it is changing its direction in between and all that, clear. So, substitute the values of each and every term here, S, U, A and T correctly, clear, and you will automatically get the correct answer. So, because you do not need to worry about whether the particle is changing its direction or not. If you know the initial position and if you know the final position, you can directly apply the equation. Please keep that in mind, clear, and remember that S is also a vector quantity. So, substitute with sign convention. So, at t is equal to 0, the particle is over here, let us say it reaches here at some time t or t naught. Okay. So, t naught is what we need to find out. So, let me substitute the values. S, what is the value of S I should be substituting? Because this is a tower of height 60 meters or a building of height 60 meters, will I substitute 60 here? Is that how you substitute displacement? No, you need to find the initial position, which is this, the final position, and move from initial to final. Don't worry about the particle's motion. We just need to look at the displacement. So, from here to the final position, which means you are moving down, right? You are moving vertically downwards. So, this will be the displacement. So, we should substitute the value of displacement as minus 60. Is that clear? Is equal to u. What is u? 20 into t, and you all know that a should be taken as negative. So, half minus 10 will become minus 5 t square. That is it. So, simplifying this, 5 ones, 5 fours, 5 12s, you will be getting t square minus 4t minus 12 is equal to 0, and if you factorize, you would get t minus 6 into t plus 2 is equal to 0, which means t is equal to 6 seconds. Clear, students? So, t is equal to 6 seconds is the value which you will be getting here. Now, one important thing you will have to observe here is that I got only one solution for this. Even though this is a quadratic equation, I got only one possible result for time, and the reason is because if a particle is thrown vertically upwards, it will cross this position, only once. It is not possible for the particle to cross this twice. For example, if I substitute a displacement which corresponds to this level, you understand what I am saying? Let us say this height is some 15 meters. Is that clear? Let me call this position also as some point, and if I need to find the time it takes for the particle to travel from here to here or from here to here, which means I am asking you to find out this motion, the time it takes for this motion. Clear? In this case, this is the initial position and this is the final position. Now, let me quickly substitute the value for that and see what I am going to get. So, here the particle starts from here and it should reach this level, right? It does not matter whether it is going up on this side or whether it is coming down on this side. So, we need to find out that it reaches this particular level, which is 15 meters above. So, because it is above, I will substitute displacement as plus 15. Clear? Let us see what I get, is equal to 20 into t minus 5 t square, 5 ones, 5 fours, 5 threes. So, if I simplify, I get t square minus 4t plus 3 is equal to 0. I get t minus 3 into t minus 1 is equal to 0, which means t is equal to 1 as well as 3, which means I got two solutions, right? Why did I get two times here and only one time here, one positive value of time for this position and two values of time for this position? You can clearly understand that from the diagram, right? Because x is equal to 15 or y is equal to 15, whatever you consider, displacement of 15, the particle is crossing through that position once while going up and once while coming down. So, that is why we got two times, which means at t is equal to 1 second, the particle is over here. We know that because speed is 20, it reaches its maximum height at 2 seconds, correct? 20, you know the time of ascent is u by g. So, 20 by 10 is 2 seconds, right, students? So, it reaches the highest point at 2 seconds and once again it crosses this position while going down at 3 seconds. So, that is what we got here. At 1 second it is crossing this position while going up, at 3 seconds also it is crossing that position, but this time while coming down, and as usual we know that it reaches this same level once again at 4 seconds. So, here the time would be 4 seconds and we found out that here the time will be 6 seconds. Clear? So, that is how the motion of the particle is present. Clear, students? So, we have done the first part. Now, the second part, what are they asking us? Find the speed with which it reaches ground. So, we need to find the speed with which it reaches here. So, once again there are two methods for solving this. You can, because we already found time also, you can use v is equal to u plus at, or because we know the displacement, you can also use v square minus u square is equal to 2as. Clear? Let me show you by using both methods and you will get the same answer for sure. So first of all, let me show that by using v square minus u square is equal to 2as. So initial position, final position, I need to find the final velocity. So I'll assume that it is v. So v square minus 20 square is equal to 2 into a. What is a? The particle moves like this, irrespective of how it moves, a is always minus 10. So minus 10. And what is displacement, students? So please don't make mistakes in substituting displacement. So you will do everything correctly except for displacement. This is something which I have observed most commonly. Clear? So be careful when substituting the sign of displacement. Initial, final. So going down. Clear? So negative. So minus how much? 60. That's it. So you will get v square is equal to, how much is this? 1200 plus 400, which is 1600. So which means I will get v is equal to plus or minus 40 meter per second, and for sure because it is going down we should consider minus 40 meter per second as its velocity. Clear, students? So that would be the answer for that. If you want, you can verify this answer by using v is equal to u plus at also. And the reason why I am doing this is because I know the time also, right. In the first part of the question I found time also. So I can also use this for finding this result. So let us check. So v is equal to u. U is how much? It was thrown with a velocity of 20 plus 20 upwards. A is minus 10 into time. Time is 6 seconds. So into 6. So what do I get by solving that? 20 minus 60. So which is equal to minus 40 meter per second. Clear? So you can see that you can do it in both ways, right. Now similarly they are asking us to find the speed with which it crosses the midpoint of the building. So midpoint of the building is this level, right. So once again you can directly apply, you need to find the velocity here, you know the velocity here, you can directly use v square minus u square is equal to 2as. So let us quickly substitute v square minus initial velocity square is 20 square is equal to 2 into a is minus 10 s. What is the value of displacement from here to here? Can you say that this vertical downward displacement will be the displacement, right. So which means I need to substitute this length. How much is that? Minus 30. I need to substitute the displacement as minus 30. That's it. So solving this will give me v square is equal to, this is 400, that is how much? 600. 400 plus 600 is 1000. So I get v is equal to 10 root 10 meter per second. Clear, students? So that should be the answer for that. So I hope this is clear. So how to substitute the sign conventions and all that, right. So students, now let us discuss about the motion of a freely falling object, right. So what does freely falling mean? A particle which is released from rest and it is moving under the action of gravity. So let us say this is earth, ground basically, and a particle is released from here, from some height. Clear? Now we can consider that the initial velocity is 0 for this body, right. So it moves vertically downwards, and during this motion we can say that the speed of the particle will be continuously increasing because of the attraction from earth. So the particle will start accelerating in the downward direction. Clear? So its speed will increase in the downward, its velocity will increase in the downward direction. Okay. Now, so this is the motion which we will have to analyze. Clear? So earlier, long back when observations were made, so people have basically observed that this particle, let us say if it has travelled a distance of some x in the first interval of time, any particular interval, for example, let us say you are observing the motion of the body in regular intervals of time. So which means if you are observing the particle to be at this position at t is equal to 0, let us say you are observing it at some time t to be here. So the particle is here at time t. Time could be anything, it could be 1 second, it could be half second, or it could be 10 seconds also. And similarly, you would observe that the particle is somewhere over here at 2t. Clear? And similarly, the particle would be somewhere over here at 3t. So, which means people have basically observed that the particle travels larger and larger distances in equal intervals of time as the time progresses. You understand what I am saying? So, what I am saying here is at these three intervals which I have considered are all having an interval of t seconds, capital T. This is t, this is t, this is also t. But you can clearly observe from the diagram that when compared with this, the particle has travelled a larger distance here, and when compared with this, the particle has travelled even larger distance here, and you can easily understand the reason why, right? Because the particle is starting from rest, and here the speed of that is lesser, and as it is falling down, its speed is continuously increasing. So, can I say that speed of the particle during this interval is definitely greater in magnitude when compared with its speed here, right? And when compared with this, the speed here in this interval will be larger. So, even though the interval is same, t seconds, it travels a larger distance in the next interval when compared with the earlier interval. Clear? So, if I consider that in the first interval it has travelled a distance of x, this was observed experimentally, clear. In the next interval it travels a distance of 3x, in the next interval it travels a distance of 5x, and so on. If earth was not there, if let us say it is even lower, clear. So, let us say earth is somewhere over here, or there is no earth at all, right, it is a very large free fall. So, it was basically observed that if this was 5x, then in the next t time, so let us say it has travelled from here to here. So, this is where it is at t is equal to 4t, and this length would be equal to 7t or 7x, sorry. So, x, 3x, 5x, 7x. So, this was basically an experimental observation which was made long back, and we can understand, we can explain how this is arriving, how these ratios are arriving, 1:3:5:7 by using the equations of kinematics and the concepts of uniform acceleration. Clear? Irrespective of the body, whether the body has a mass of 1 kg or a body has a mass of 10 kg or a body has a mass of 100 kg. So, each and every mass was observed to travel distances in the same ratio. Clear? So, based on this, they have understood that every mass, irrespective of its value, irrespective of its magnitude, will always have the same acceleration in the downward direction. This was one of the first experiments which gave the idea about that. You understand that, right? So, each and every mass, whether it is however small it is and however big it is, however bulky it is, every body will travel distances in this ratio only in equal intervals of time when it starts from rest. Clear? So, this is the result, and as I told you, this shows that every body experiences same magnitude of acceleration, irrespective of its mass, Clear, students? So, this is the idea. So, now let us understand this result, and let us understand mathematically how we are getting these values. Why is this ratio always true? And as I told you, remember, this is valid for any interval. That interval can be however small or however large. What I am trying to say is, let us say if the particle is being observed like this, from t is equal to 0 to, let us say we are observing the particle from 0 to 0.1 seconds, and then 0.1 seconds to 0.2 seconds, then 0.2 seconds to 0.3 seconds. If it travels a distance of x in this, it will definitely travel a distance of 3x in this, and it will travel a distance of 5x in this. Clear? Similarly, here I am observing the time interval of 0.1 second. Similarly, I can also observe the particle's motion for 10 seconds also. So, if I am observing for 10 seconds, whatever distance it travels in 10 seconds, if I let us say call that as y, let us call it as y, we can say that from 10 to 20 seconds, and then if I observe from 20 to 30 seconds. So, one thing, if you observe carefully here, I am taking the same duration, same time interval. Clear? The width of that interval is same. So, if this is y, then we can definitely say that this will be 3y and this will be 5y. You understand that, right? The ratio will be maintained irrespective of the width of that time interval. So, that is the basic idea here. Clear? So, this ratio will always be maintained. So, now let us see how that ratio is obtained. Clear? So, let us write the kinematics equations for this. So, the particle is released from here, u is equal to 0, correct students, and let us say in time t it travels from here to here. So, let us say it has travelled by a distance of some h, if h, or let us say s. So, let us say s is the distance that it travels. See, for this kind of analysis, what you can do is, because we know that acceleration is in the downward direction, distance it covers or the displacement is in the downward direction, clear, and even its velocity during the motion will be in this direction. So, all the parameters related to this motion are in the downward direction, correct. So, there is no point in writing negative signs every time, it just becomes a lengthier equation, that is it. So, what I can do is I will consider that downward direction is positive, just for my ease, that is it, clear. You know that coordinate axis can be chosen anyway, correct. The substitutions has to be done with respect to how you have chosen. So, if I consider that the downward direction is positive, for this case alone, just for my ease, that is it, there is no other logic behind that. So, if downward direction is considered to be positive, let me substitute the values. So, initial velocity is 0 and acceleration is g plus g now, you understand, right, because for this analysis alone I am considering a as, downward direction as positive. So, what should I write? S is equal to u is 0, so plus half a is g into t square, that is it. So, I will get S is equal to half g t square. Clear, students? So, which means a particle which is released from rest. So, if a particle is released from this position and if I observe how much distance it covers downwards in time t, I can say that it covers a distance of half gt square. So, this length in time t will be equal to half gt square, and you can also say that this will approximately be equal to half g is nothing but 5. So, 5t square, clear, which means the distance it covers or the displacement of the particle in 1 second will be equal to 5 into 1 square, which is 5 meters. The displacement in 2 seconds, which means after releasing in 2 seconds, how much distance will it fall? That would be 5 into 2 square, which is how much? 5 into 4, 20 meters. The displacement in 3 seconds, how much will that be, students? 5 into 3 square is 45 meters, and displacement in 4 seconds will be 5 into 16, which is 80 meters, and so on, so on, so on, correct. Now, this is where you should observe very closely the result which I have told you earlier. So, this is the distance travelled between two intervals, right. So, let us find out the distance it travels between two intervals. See, from this, if I ask you what is the ratio of S1 is to S2 is to S3 is to so on, what is the ratio I am going to get? Look, because S is directly proportional to t square, the ratio will also be proportional to t square, right. That would be 1 square is to 2 square is to 3 square is to so on. You understand what I am saying? You can easily look at that from the result which we have derived also. Displacement in 1 second, displacement in 2 seconds, displacement in 3 seconds, right. So, which means 5 is to 20 is to 45, which is exactly the same. So 5 is common. So for the first case I get 1 square, for the second case I get 2 square, for the third case I get 3 square. That is what will be the ratio. You understand that, right? Now remember that these are displacements. These are displacements in n seconds, correct? But what about displacement in nth second? We know that this can be considered as first second. If I consider the time interval as 1 second, this is the first second, this is the second second, this would be the third second, right students, and similarly this would be the fourth second. So what about the ratio of that? If I find that ratio, will I get 1:3:5:7? Let's check. So now what I am going to find out is the ratio of displacements in nth second. Clear students? Nth second, right? Now this is something which we already understood. Displacement in nth second means what? Let me put it in a different way. Displacement in first second means what? 0 to 1. Displacement in second second means what? 1 to 2, right? So let me write displacement in first second as S1 minus S0, correct? Displacement in 1 second, right? Similarly, what is the displacement in second second? Second second means 1 to 2. So I can write it as displacement in 2 seconds minus displacement in 1 second, right, is 2. What is displacement in third second, which means third only, not 3 seconds, third second. Third second means between 2 and 3. So I can write it as displacement in 3 seconds minus displacement in 2 seconds is to so on. So this is what I need to calculate, right students? Now displacement in 1 second minus displacement in 0 is 0. You don't have to actually write this also. So you can just write it as S1, right? So displacement in 1 second is how much? 5, right? Or let me write it as 5 into 1 square is 2. Clear? Second one, displacement in 2 seconds minus displacement in 1 second. Remember that this is 5 into 2 square, this is 5 into 1 square, which means what I will get here is 5 into 2 square minus 1 square, right? That is displacement in second is 2. What is displacement in third second? Displacement in 3 minus displacement in 2. So which means 5 into 3 square minus 2 square is to so on. That's it students, that is the ratio, that is what we are looking for. Let me write that result somewhere over here. Let me write this, okay, I will write it here itself. So I will write it here itself. Okay, tell me what am I getting? I can cancel out 5. So I would get 1 square is to 2 square minus 1 square is to 3 square minus 2 square is to so on. Now what is this value? 1 is to 4 minus 1 is 3 is to 9 minus 4 is 5 is to so on will be 7 is to 9 is to so on. Clear? So all these will be in the consecutive odd numbers. Clear? And as I told you, these need not be 1 second intervals also. I told you, I have shown you that whether it is 0.1 second interval or even 10 seconds interval, the ratio will continuously be maintained. Clear? So this will always be valid. So please keep this in mind. So if you are asked to understand the ratio of displacements in n seconds, then it would be the ratio of squares of consecutive integers. In nth second, then it would be the ratio of consecutive odd numbers, right? So students, let us now see a concept related to this vertical projectile. So projectile basically means anything which is thrown and which is moving under the action of gravity is called a projectile, and here it is thrown vertically upward, so a vertical projectile, right. So let's say a particle is thrown like this vertically upwards, it travels till here and it returns back. So if I consider this motion, so I've told you earlier when we started with some derivations that if this is thrown with u upwards, it reaches with the same speed u, velocity is opposite but speed is same, please keep that in mind. So here also it will have u, but the velocity is minus u, you understand that, right? The magnitude of velocity and here will be same. So if it is thrown with u, it returns back also with u speed, right. Now similarly, if I consider some other level here, any level somewhere, if it is crossing this upwards with a velocity of let's say some u dash, then can I say it crosses the same position on the other side with the same speed u dash? This we know because you can consider only this part from here onwards as another projectile and the same logic will be applicable, right students. So keeping that in mind, please observe carefully. So here the speed is u dash, the speed is u dash. Can I say that the time it takes for the particle to travel from here to here and the time it takes for the particle to travel from here to here will be the same, right? Okay. Now why I am saying this is because see, we know that this time it is u dash by g and this time will be u dash by g as well, same. So for a particle which is projected with u dash, this will be the ascent and this will be the descent, right. Now in the same manner, for example, let's say I asked you a question like this. So let's say the question is like this: find the distance covered by the particle, find the distance covered by a particle, right, in the last 1 second before coming to rest, before coming to momentary rest, momentary because it is at the highest point. So before coming to momentary rest. So in this question I will give you two cases. Case A, the particle is projected with a velocity of 20 meter per second in the upward direction, clear, and case B, the particle is projected with a velocity of 2020 meter per second in the upward direction, 2020, clear. So first case the particle is projected with 20 meter per second, which means like this, and in the second case the particle is projected with 2020 meter per second. So what the question asks here is find the distance covered by the particle in the last 1 second before coming to rest. Now this is a very good question. So I would suggest you think about this before I give you the solution for this. So I want you to pause it here and try to answer it on your own, right. Okay. So please observe here, I have given you this result here, that we know the idea that the particle will travel similarly in the last few seconds and the first few seconds, whatever the duration is. If you are looking at the first, the last let us say 3 seconds before reaching highest point, the motion in the last 3 seconds before reaching highest point, if let us say this is 3 seconds, that would be exactly same as the first 3 seconds after it starts from a highest point. You understand that or not? What I am saying is the last few seconds before reaching the highest point is same as the first few seconds, whatever the seconds you have considered earlier, the first few seconds when coming back from highest point. Let me write that down as a result. The motion of the particle in the last few seconds before reaching the highest point, the motion of particle is similar to its motion in the first few seconds after reaching highest point. I hope this is clear. So its motion while reaching the highest point will be exactly same as the motion after it travels from the highest point. So if you are taking 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 1 second, 1 second, half second, and so on. Clear, students? Now the question here is, find the distance covered by the particle in the last 1 second before coming to momentary rest. Clear? Okay. Now let me just draw the diagram here. So a particle which is projected with 20 meter per second, let's say it travels from here to here and then returns back. Okay. And the particle which is thrown with 20 meter per second, this velocity is very large. So it travels to a very large height, 20 meter per second, right? So it travels to a very large height. So let's say up till here and then it returns back. Now the question is, this particle, let's say this is the highest point to which it reaches, and this particle, this is the highest point to which it reaches. So as the particle is going up, this is projected with 20 meter per second. In the last 1 second, how much has this particle travelled and how much has this particle travelled in the last 1 second? Now I am asking you these two. Now think of it like this. Can I say that the distance this covers in the last 1 second or this covers in the last 1 second should be exactly similar to the distance it covers in the first 1 second while coming down? Or even in this case, the first 1 second while coming down? Do you understand, students? Which means you know easily that for a particle which is released from rest, u is equal to 0, if it falls freely for 1 second, how much distance will it travel, students? We know that s is equal to 5t square, right? Which means 5 into 1, which is 5 meters. Every particle, if it is released from rest, in the first 1 second will travel 5 meters, right? So whether it was projected with 20 meter per second or 20 meter per second, once it comes to rest at some level, so this comes to rest at this level, this comes to rest at this level, clear? Irrespective of what level they come to rest at, this will fall down by 5 meters in the 1 second duration, and even this particle will also fall by 5 meters in 1 second duration, which means before reaching the highest point in 1 second it should have travelled 5 meters. Same for this, because it falls by 5 meters in the first second, it should travel 5 meters in the last second. Exactly the same concept. I hope this is clear, right? So both will have the same distance, both travel 5 meters in the last second. Clear, students? I hope this concept is clear. So this is a very important concept as well, right? So students, here it is given that a particle is projected vertically. It passes through a same point twice at times t1 and t2 after the point of projection. After it is projected, it crosses a particular position twice. So let me draw the diagram, so it will make things clear. So let's say the particle is projected from here and it travels like this, returns back and reaches ground. So if I consider one particular position at some level, any level, so you know that it crosses that level twice, right? Once while going up, once while coming down. So they are saying that it crosses that particular position at times t1 and t2 from projection. So which means from here till here it takes a time of t1. Similarly, from here till here it takes a time of t2, which means this motion from here till here. So, this whole motion will take a time of t2. I hope this is clear, students, right? Now, observe carefully. What are they asking us to find? Find the velocity of projection, find the maximum height, and find the height at which that position is from ground. So, we need to find this height, we need to find the velocity of projection u, let us call this height as small h and maximum height as capital H. Clear? So, these are the values which we will have to calculate. Clear? So, now observe closely, students, here. So, they have given that from the projection to reach this level, the first case, the first time it reaches that is t1 and it reaches that position once again after time t2. Now, we have understood from the earlier scenario that if it takes a time of t1 to travel from here to here, then it should take the same time t1 to travel from here to here as well. You understand that? From here, if it reaches here in t1 while going up, then while coming down also it should have similar type of motion. From here to reach ground, it will take the same time t1. Do you understand that? So, I can write the particle takes, so for this duration of motion also it takes t1 time. Now, which means, observe closely, the particle starts from here, so it takes t2 time from here to here, another t1 time from here to here, which means, can I write the total time of flight? Let us call it as time of flight. You can easily tell what the time of flight is now, students. What is it? t2 plus t1, right? So, we can easily say t1 plus t2 will be the time of flight. Is that clear? Please observe carefully once again. It is crossing this particular position twice. Once at t1, then at t2. Clear? So, this whole time is t2. This is t1, which will mean this is also t1. So, t2 plus t1 is the total time of flight. Clear? So, we know that the expression for time of flight is nothing but 2u by g. So, solving this will give me u is equal to g by 2 into t1 plus t2. That is it. That would be the answer for the first question, velocity of projection. Now, maximum height. How do I find maximum height? I already know the initial velocity. Maximum height is very easy. So, u square by 2g. So, substitute this into this and you will get maximum height. Now, what is the height of that position from ground? So, we need to find small h. So, this is second question, this is first question, now third question. Height of that position from ground. So, you know the initial velocity, right? You know the time it takes to reach that position, t1 or t2. You can substitute t1 or t2 also. Both will give you the same position. If you want, you can verify. And you need to find the height, the displacement. Clear? Just use s is equal to ut plus half a t square, half a t square. We know u, so we already calculated u here. So, substitute that into this. We know time, the particle is at this height, small h, at time either t1 or t2. Please observe carefully, substitute either t1 or t2 to find h. So, this value will be the h we are looking for. Clear? Please verify that whether you substitute t1 into this and solve or t2 into this and solve that equation, you will get the same answer. I want you to verify that for both the substitutions. Clear, students? So, we will end this here for today and we will solve few more examples on vertical motion. We'll solve some cases related to relative motion in vertical direction. Clear? Two particles thrown vertically, such cases in next class.